Hello everyone, welcome to this week's GT Sport Daily Race C race review. We're taking Group 3 machinery around Laguna Seca Raceway in the US of A, and in this one the big cat, that is the Jaguar, is going to be hunting a wild basic ollie, and we're going to have a run in with the GT Sport World Champion Igor Fraga. Well, kind of a run in. Let's see how that looks in the video. The detailed settings for the race on the screen: 13 laps to get round, tyre wear pretty high at times 10, fuel at times 2 not being an issue, and just the racing hard tyre available. So the strategy for this one had to be a no stop, even though the tyre wear is at times 10. The pit loss just too long to make a pit stop strategy justifiable. Certainly presenting some drivers with a few problems more than others. We'll see the difference between my tyre wear and another driver's tyre wear a little bit later in the video. But yeah, the sort of best strategy in this one is to look after your tyres over the early stages of the race and try and be in a strong position for the second half. And just as crucial is picking a car that can look after its tyres as well. So the most popular car in this one tends to be the Beetle and the WRX. The Beetle is very good at looking after its tyres. WRX is very fast around the track, but probably not as good at looking after the tyres, and struggles towards the end of the race compared to the Beetle. Now the car that we've picked is certainly not a car that's either good at handling or good at looking after its tyres. For this first race we're in the Ford Mustang. Now why I picked this one, I'm not really sure. I don't like to pick the same car all the time. I do like the Mustang, I don't think it's a terrible car, but very quickly I realised that it was not a great car for this track. It seemed very heavy into these early corners, and I knew I was going to be in for a defensive race more than an attacking race in this one. The two drivers up front there, we've got Williams B Racer and IOF Racing. That's two of the fastest drivers in the game, and I say fastest drivers in the game, I mean easily top 10 drivers in the world at this game at the moment. IOF Racing is Igor Fraga, he's been a GT Sport World Champion, and Williams B Racer is probably a pretty good shout to win this year's World Championship in Gran Turismo. So we're in pretty esteemed company as this race gets underway. We're not quite in range of them, didn't expect to get anywhere near them, to be perfectly honest with you, but Igor does seem to be struggling in the car that he's in. He has picked the Ferrari. We did say the MR cars are not very wise to pick in this one. He's obviously got the skill to overcome that, but even in these early stages he does seem to be struggling, and Kepfrin, the French driver, is putting him under a little bit of pressure over these early stages. Unfortunately for him though, he seems to have picked up a 1 second penalty. I think there's a little bit of contact into the corkscrew, couldn't quite see properly, but he's going to serve that penalty just round these next couple of corners. That's going to move us up into third place, going to put us right behind Igor. Can we overtake Igor Fraga in a Mustang around Laguna Seca? That would certainly be a little bit of a moment for the YouTube channel, that's for sure. So Kepfrin's going to serve the penalty here, moves to the left hand side, puts us up into third place. Now we're round about 8 tenths behind Igor here, and he wasn't pulling away that much at this stage, and for a brief moment I did think, well, this certainly is something to look forward to. If we can just get onto the back of Igor here, make a move, get an overtake, that's going to be a bit of a highlight of my GT Sport career. Up until this stage I still thought it was possible. Somehow managed to get that Ferrari through the corkscrew superbly. MR car so sketchy through that part of the track, but it just looks like he's starting to pull away now as we come through some of these sweeping corners. The Ferrari pretty strong at them, and coming into the hairpin to complete lap number 2. I think he's going to get such a drive out this corner. I pretty much knew at this point that Igor had started to get top of that Ferrari, as you would expect, and he was going to drive away from us, and we were going to have to start looking in our mirrors more than anything else. We've got the Spaniard of Leonidas GT starting to put a lot of pressure as down into the Andretti hairpin at the start of lap number 3. But Igor still kind of in range here. It would have been a nice moment, but yeah, we make a bit of a mistake there, hit the sausage curb into turn number 3, and we've got the Spaniard right behind us. And I'm not sure what car he's in, I think he might be in a WRX. Yep, take a look behind us there, he's in a WRX. He's going to go for a bit of I think's a bit of an optimistic move here. I didn't really think that move was on. He does give us the space on the exit, so it's all well and good. We've seen him coming, gave him the room. And I've got a little bit defensive here to defend from Kepfrin, who's also in a WRX. And you can just see the trouble we're having here with the Mustang. It's a very heavy car for this track, and you can feel the understeer coming into that sort of turn 6 left-hander, very dangerous corner if you run wide. The Mustang was feeling pretty horrible into that corner, and I was not enjoying it at all. We will jump all the way forward here to lap number 8. We've actually managed to maintain ourselves in 4th place. Not a bad effort in the Mustang. We're under a lot of pressure from Kepfrin, but we had managed to resist it up until the point we pick up a half-second penalty at the corkscrew. So we're going to serve that half-second penalty just round this corner here. That's going to put Kepfrin ahead of us. However, the battle is not over at this point, because he's obviously in the WRX, and I know he's going to start burning through those tyres, and I know he's going to burn through the tyres because we raced him in the race before this, and he was in a lot of trouble towards the end of the race. So you can see he's going to have a bit of a moment here into the last corner hairpin. He's going to give us a lot of a run down this straight. Mustang, probably the only part of the track that's pretty good is this straight. So we'll get a run down the outside here. But we're nowhere near far enough alongside to sort of try and take a look round the outside. So we just try and brake nice and early, try and get a better run out the hairpin and tuck back in. You can see Kepfrin now really starting to struggle in pretty much every corner. When he could keep it together, he could pull a gap, but he was making a lot of mistakes. He's going to make another mistake here, a bit of a deja vu moment to the previous lap. And we're going to close up right into the hairpin here, and we're going to have another sniff at the back of this Subaru down towards turn number 2. Remember, turn number 1 is the slight kink in the straight here, so we've got a much better run. We're going to be fully alongside into the braking zone here, and we are going to try and hang this round the outside. So you can see we gave Kepfrin loads of room in the inside there. We understeers into us and gives us a rather lovely 1 second penalty. So that had annoyed me quite a lot, because in the previous race he actually went for a couple of silly dives as well into the corkscrew. So he seems to be quite a quick driver, but quite messy with it as well. So we'll serve that 1 second penalty, and we're now under pressure from 6th place. So we're looking fairly comfortable for a top 5, but battling with Kepfrin there, and that penalty is sort of putting us into the clutches of P6. However, with a little bit of clear track, no fighting, we managed to maintain that gap here on lap number 11. This is going to be the cue for Kepfrin to make another mistake. So he runs wide coming out of turn 6. He's going to have very, very dirty tyres going into the corkscrew here. You're going to see how much of an effect that has on his driving. He's absolutely no grip whatsoever, and we're going to close up massively as we come out the corkscrew here. So again, when he's able to hold the car together, able to open a gap up on the Mustang, but making so many mistakes, we're still in this fight, and he goes so slow into the right hander here. We're going to bump the back of him and pick up another 1 second penalty courtesy of Mr. Kepfrin here. We do actually make a very nice move round the outside of the hairpin towards the end of the lap, but it's going to do us no good, because we are going to serve this 1 second penalty in a few corners time. We'll just fast forward here until we can serve the penalty, and we're back behind Kepfrin. And the result of all that is that the Spaniard in 6th place is now even without our slipstream. So a secure 5th place is now looking in danger of even becoming a 7th place. Kepfrin though is still going to continue to make mistakes. A smaller one this time, but he gets it a little bit wrong through the turn 6 left hander. We're not in any mood to take any prisoners. We go down the inside towards the corkscrew, but we're actually going to blow this, because all we really had to do was overslow the car enough, make sure we got the car through the corkscrew, and we didn't really do that. We kind of cut the corner. Now I did think I was going to pick up a half second penalty. For some reason we didn't. I'm not entirely sure why. The tyres were dirty. We're being a little bit naughty on the apex of a couple of those corners, and it all gets very messy indeed. We've still got dirty tyres here coming into the hairpin. We're going to run wide. It's going to allow Kepfrin to get alongside us as we take this run down the main straight for the 12th time and start the last lap. So 3 cars, very close proximity into the Andretti hairpin here. We're going to try and hold it round the outside, but with the tyres just absolutely minced at this point, we're going to be struggling to even just hold on to 5th place. We do manage to hold on to 5th place though. Everybody obviously struggled with their tyres at this point, but the battle was over. We managed to sort of just maintain, keep everything together, and bring it home for a very frustrating 5th place in the end, if I'm honest with you. One of the more frustrating races I've had recently, just because of how it unwound. Kepfrin's driving, as I tried to point out, he was a bit of a disaster, wasn't he? He's replied to that though, suitably apt, an LOL, taking it well. I'm quite happy with that, no hard feelings. We'll move on to the next one. And the next race in the video is actually a race that we did the day before the race we've just watched. This was actually race on the Monday evening, and quite a strong field. Starting this one in 9th place, some familiar names in there as well. We've got Basic Collie, we've got V1 Myro and Burst 0185. So as the race kicks off, there was a little bit of a delay as we loaded in, and the game has actually kicked one of the drivers. I think it was the driver that was starting in P3. Now, getting disconnected is always annoying, but that driver did happen to be in a Renault RS01, so in many ways I think the game probably did that driver a favour, because driving that car round here in race trim is an absolute nightmare. Now, just about every Renault RS01 that I've seen in race has barely lasted 4 laps before they win it, and more often than not, long before they've managed 4 laps, they put the car in the gravel. Very quick car in qualifying, terrible car in the race. To be honest with you, most of the MR cars are not brilliant in the race. Some drivers are managing to make them work better than others, but even the very best of drivers are struggling with these MR cars towards the end. We've got an MR car in front of us in this one. Starting this one in P8 now because of that driver getting disconnected. Everybody making it through this extremely dodgy right-hander for the first time. So it's a left-hander, through that left-hander safely, but second time round as we come through lap number 2, somebody is going to get it wrong, and it's a Subaru speeding off to the left-hand side there as we make up our first position. So one position made up, and kind of as a result of the same corner, we're going to make up a couple of further positions in just a few corners time. So what happens here is the Polish driver serves a penalty, the Spanish driver in the McLaren tries to go round the outside, there's a bit of contact, these drivers are now going to try and go side by side through the tricky left-hander, and predictably it doesn't work out well for one of them. The McLaren driver ends up in the gravel, the Polish driver, the Subaru, is compromised in speed, and we're going to make a nice move down the inside of the corkscrew. Or it would have been a nice move if the Polish driver hadn't massively outbroke himself. Quite spectacular that. He must have broke at least 20 metres too late to go that far off the track. But it's all worked out nicely for me. I'm up into 5th place, and by the end of lap number 6 we've got Burst in 4th place. So Burst in the Beetle here seems to be struggling with his tyres. Couldn't find an opening though, and it actually took us until the end of lap number 8. Coming out the hairpin here, Burst is just going to go on the throttle too much, and he's going to get a lot of wheel spin and speed off to the left hand side, and that's going to put us up into 4th place. Now we're just going to stop here and take a look at Burst's tyres at the end of the race compared to mine. So Burst in the Beetle, I'm in the Jaguar. You can just see the massive difference in tyre wear, and that's why Burst, who's a quicker driver than me over one lap, generally tends to finish behind me in the races. So he needs to do something to work on that tyre wear, that is for sure. But getting past Burst releases the big cat to now try and chase down Basic Ollie in the Hyundai. And as the lap ticks down, we gradually manage to work that gap down to something a little bit more manageable. And by the end of lap number 10, start of lap number 11, we were very much in sight and about to get into the slipstream range. So for anyone who doesn't know who Basic Ollie is, and I would be surprised if he didn't know who he is if you're watching one of my videos, he is a YouTube GT Sport content creator, does live streams, does videos, had a bit of a metaphoric rise in sort of popularity just over the last few months, and very deservedly so. His streams are very entertaining, seems like a really nice guy, and a very quick racer to boot. On this occasion here we seem to have a little bit more pace than him. I did know he was live streaming at the time of this race, so I was quite interested, quite looking forward to sort of catching up, making the last few laps of this race entertaining for both him and myself, and hopefully his viewers as well. But as soon as we get into the dirty air, I did start to feel the car start to struggle, so we're sitting around about 6 tenths behind his Hyundai at the moment, but the big cat is going to keep hunting that gap down, keep closing that gap down, and let's see if we can get an overtake done before the end of the race. But the laps are starting to click down now, just a few corners to go here on lap number 11, and there will only be 2 remaining. We seem to take these last few corners a little bit better than Ollie, and then into this braking zone, into the hairpin, we seem to be much better on the brakes, so that could be one to look out for later in the race for an overtake. Into the slipstream now, firmly in the slipstream, and we're going to get a good closing on the Hyundai down this main straight. And surely now, Ollie maybe starting to feel the pressure. He's maybe got about 3 to 4, maybe even 500 people watching at this point. He's not going to want to lose this podium. and I know he's going to fight tooth and nail. I watched some of Basic Ollie's streams and races, so I know that he will defend the position pretty hard. He does tend to defend pretty robustly, and I would expect no less over these last couple of laps if we can get into a position close enough to get that overtake, because as I said, we are starting to struggle in the dirty air here, and we had worked the tyres pretty hard closing down that gap, and we're certainly starting to feel the effects of that now. But we are very close. We're starting to apply some pressure here, and this is the sort of gap when you're behind the driver where, you know, you start to feel a little bit of tension. You can see all of there just clips the dirt there, not enough to cost them too much time. But this is the closest we've been as we come into the corkscrew for the 12th time. Ollie missing the apex there, and this is just a bit of a distraction move more than anything else. Just try to put our nose in a place where we wouldn't be expected. See if we can just try and make him miss his braking point, miss the corner. We're going to have another attempt at that in towards the hairpin here, just kind of keep the car to the left hand side. Hopefully he's maybe looking at the radar, might miss his braking point, but too experienced a driver is Basic Ollie to fall for a trick like that. And in the end, all we really do is compromise our entry into the hairpin, and we drop a few car lengths behind. But we're now on to the final lap, and we're going to have to sort of probably a little bit of a banzai move here to try and make this overtake. We just can't seem to quite get close enough to really apply severe pressure and maybe make an actual proper overtaking attempt. Obviously at Laguna Seca, very difficult to make that overtake anyway. You've got to have quite a significant car advantage or rely on a mistake from the driver in front of you to really get alongside. But into the turn 5 here, the left-hander, looks like Ollie's just composed himself just a little bit more, starting to hit the apexes over the first half of this lap. He's going to have a little small moment into turn number 6, not quite get the car turned in. He's going to give us a slightest of runs down towards the corkscrew. We're not close enough to make a move, but Ollie does take it pretty cautiously into the corkscrew here. He's going to catch us out. We're going to make the slightest of contacts, and what could have been a grandstand finish is going to be ruined as we pick up a deserved 1 second penalty at the end of the day. We've hit the back of another car, and that is the end of the hunt. The big cat was hunting a wild Basic Ollie, but he's going to come up short in this one. Had there maybe been another lap and we didn't have a penalty, we might have a chance down into the Andretti hairpin, but this is the last lap, this is the run down to the line, and Ollie is going to pick up a deserved podium. And to be honest with you, quite happy with the 4th place that we got. We started this one down in 8th. Making up 4 positions is never to be sniffed at the end of the day. Yeah, and it was a good fun race, working my way up to that position, making an overtake on burst, catching up with Ollie, try to apply some pressure, but ultimately couldn't get the job done. So yeah, I think this is quite a fun combination. I know a lot of people would put off with the tyre wear, I understand that. I'm pretty good on tyres, so it kind of plays to my strengths, and I've used it to kind of build up the DR in this account quite nicely. But not long to go now until we have a fresh race. Anyway, please do hit that like button, please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It helps the channel to grow slowly but surely, and I do appreciate it very much. This is the end of the race action. I am going to leave you with a bonus clip, a little bit of question of sport, so do watch that and let me know if you got the answer right in the end. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.